Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. This is Speaking with Angels, and we're going to hear a short introduction.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice, nor your own sound judgment. In truth, nothing can dim your magnificence. You are a divine spark, a universal light. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan, and it's our joy to support you. We're here to celebrate you. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by angellight777.com.
Great news, everyone. Angel Heart Radio is now live streaming on our Facebook page, and we have a fully searchable, brilliant podcast platform for you at angelheartlisten.com.
Speaking with Angels with Teri Angel on Angel Heart Radio starts now.
I love that. I love Anayah Joy Holilly's voice, and I'm so happy that she's here with me tonight. Before Anayah comes on, I do have an intro to my show that I want to read that was given to me by the angels. Our angels are listening to our heart song. They hear our cries for help, our laughter, and our every need. When we reach out our hand, they take it under their wings to a place where only love resides. They wait patiently while we open our hearts to them. Will you open your heart tonight as they speak to you? I love my angels, and I love that I'm on Angel Heart Radio to do this broadcast. And the founder of Angel Heart Radio is Anayah Joy Holilly. And Anayah, I just love you and thank you and bless you for being here with me tonight.
Oh, we've had a lovely time already, haven't we, before we even went live? And it's beautiful to have the opportunity to share this time and space with you, Teri. Thank you.
I was just realizing today that you and I have never sat and done a show before on Angel Heart Radio. And
Right?
We're supposed to do this last week, but divine timing, we're supposed to be here tonight. That's what I hear.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I do agree. And I know why, for me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to ask anyone that is watching this on Facebook to please share it out. Share it in your groups, share it in your timelines. And let's get some beautiful energy flowing in here, because the angels have just been pounding on the door. And they're like, okay, you two angel speakers that are here tonight are going to be opening your mouth and you're going to be saying stuff. And I'm like, okay, which is my usual response to them. I'm like, I never know what's coming out of my mouth until I open up, and then they just kind of take over from there. And Anayah, I know you have that same experience. Let's talk about how that is when we just allow the flow to come through us.
It's a real trust thing for me. And it's kind of like, and even though I've been doing this for so many years now, I don't know what it's like for you, Teri, but I'm still scared every time I go to do a divine meditation or something that's just being divinely dictated on the spot. Open your mouth, say the words that come. And every single time, and this is what I want to say to you guys listening and watching, it's okay to believe that it's not going to happen, or you're going to mess it up, or you're going to do it wrong, because I feel that way every single time. The thing I've learned is to just go with the trust, and it's not about me anymore. And because I said to the angels, why can't I stop feeling all this angst about it? And they said, you're a human having a human experience. It's just part for the course. Do you trust us? And of course, we know what the answer to that is. And so it's the willingness to just have that trust and keep going, and knowing that while I'm experiencing this from a human perspective, I'm actually bringing it from a spiritual perspective. So.
Yeah, it's sometimes a hard concept, isn't it? It's like
Yep.
my brain is going in this human mode, but then there's all this other stuff that's coming in. And I know I've always had the experience of seeing the angels and hearing them and talking with them. But in the beginning, I was like, I knew that they were good. I knew they were spirit and they were there to help me. But then as I got older and life kind of gets in the way, it's like, am I really hearing you again? Am I really hearing that message? Am I supposed to speak that message? So I think we start to question and we start to doubt. And that's where the insecurity comes in when we go to bring a message, right? When somebody asks for a message or we're on giving messages to people, there's a little voice inside that says, are you really hearing that? Is that really from the angels? Does that ever happen with you?
It used to happen a lot because I don't know what's happened. I've kind of switched into this mode somehow, I guess is one way to put it. And there's a particular feeling and sometimes a taste when I'm working with angelic beings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's letting go of all the stuff that's going on here and here, because my heart's pounding and my brain, I've got a Gemini rising. It never shuts up. My brain never stops.
Right.
So, and it's clicking out of that. And what I've grown to understand about that for me personally on my own journey is it's really important. It's so important to have this experience because it's like proof every single time, isn't it?
Yes.
Every time it's like an affirmation, a reaffirmation of, I want to use the word privilege, even though it's the same for us all. We can all do this. There's nothing different about me, you, anybody else working with the angels. But it just feels like such a privilege to have chosen this path, difficult as it has been much of my life, because that contrast of what it's like without my spiritual connection and working with angelic beings and with, you know?
Right. Totally agree. Totally agree. Wow. Yeah. And I know for me, the channeling, the bringing through of the messages just kind of spontaneously happened. It was like all of a sudden there were words coming out, and I'm like, what was that?
Does that happen to you in conversation, just regular conversation with people? All of a sudden you'll be going, whoa, here we go.
Yeah. Like things that I never ever had thought of saying, and then they're coming out of my mouth, and I'm going, where did that come from? I'm kind of looking over my shoulder, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's exciting, isn't it, to know that we are constantly giving permission for, because, the angels need our permission. We have free will. They're not going to just come in and say, well, in this instance, I'm taking over for you. That doesn't happen, as we know. So to know that we're constantly exercising our free will to give permission to the beauty and magnificence of the love, the unconditional love that the angels have for us all, no matter who we are, what we've done, what we've ever said or thought, what we've participated in. None of it matters to the angels, does it? They just see our greatness, and we all have greatness.
They see our perfection. And that's what they have really shared with me lately. They call it being perfectly imperfect. So you're like you said, it doesn't matter what we've done. It doesn't matter that we criticize ourselves or judge ourselves. They see us as that pure light that we are, that spark. And they're constantly telling me, if you could only see you the way we see you.
Yeah. It's a real moment of sublime supplication for me. It's a complete surrender in those moments. I mean, that doesn't happen all the time. I get cranky and tired and fed up, and I've got a great story I'd love to share it when you're ready about that. But what it is for me, and the more I work with them and work with this energy, the more I understand, the more I surrender, the greater the benefits, the greater my own love for myself grows. And it's like, you know, when you're a child and you want the perfect home, you want the perfect parents, you think your parents don't. I always thought my parents didn't love me. It took me until my 40s to figure out that Dad actually loved me for who I was, right? And I always wanted to feel like I was just loved no matter what. I was worried a lot of the time that my friends wouldn't like me. I didn't do very well at school academically. I was I felt like one of my sisters was really loved and I was just kind of like in the way a lot of the time. And what that's helped me to see as I've gone through my life was that the illusion of that felt so strong. The truth was and remains that the love that is me has always been me. It was just almost like a cloudy illusion of judgment, you know? So the more I surrender to that, the greater my experience of love for myself and others grows. Amazing.
Absolutely. And you said that key word, Anayah, surrender. Surrender. That has been coming up for so many recently. And it's not, I was working with a client the other day, it's not giving in. It's saying, okay, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of expectations. I'm letting go of attachments to the outcome. I'm just surrendering to the best and highest good in my situation.
Yeah. And for me, I always had this feeling that if I surrendered, I was giving in or giving up. I wasn't fighting hard enough. I always had this thing that I have to fight for everything. If it's not hard, you know, like I remember back in the 80s with Jane Fonda and the leotards and the leg warmers, make it burn, make it burn. If it wasn't burning, it wasn't working. And that was kind of the way I felt about things in my life and myself. If things weren't difficult, I wasn't working hard enough. I wasn't earning anything. And one of the most amazing things that my journey with angelic beings is taught me and teaching me every day, it really can be easy when I choose to even just begin or become willing to let go of control. What I think of as control, because I can't control any of it. The illusion is that if I hang on tight enough, it will all come good in the end because I'll be able to make it what I want. So it's a real
for you.
It's such a journey. It's such a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That holding on has never worked for me.
No. And it's exhausting. It is so exhausting. Yeah. So I know when I'm becoming exhausted over anything, it's because I'm holding on, trying to control and trying to make things fit in the little picture or the little box that I've built. And I'm then aware more. That box is the illusion. Yeah.
It certainly is. And the angel's energy cannot be limited. It can't be put in a box. Yeah, and that's what they show us, because our energy can't be put in a box either.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it's that beautiful word grace comes in so often for me. Working with the angels is so graceful. And it's amazing. And I'll bet you have this same experience. I'd been willing to put money on it right here, right now, that there are times when you open your mouth and something from the angels streams through you and you are filled with such grace. And at times it is so moving that a rush of emotion just comes through.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've given messages to people, especially when I do an angel circle, and the energy of the angels is so very powerful. And I'll give a message and I'll just be crying. There'll be tears streaming down my face. And I've had people ask me, why were you crying? They're the one getting this beautiful message. It's like, why am I crying? Because my heart gets so full. And I feel all of that love and all that compassion that the angels bring up. It just bubbles up and out. You can't help it but release it because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So yes, we absolutely, you were absolutely right about that. You were spot on.
And it's really lovely because there are also times when I am so fed up or frustrated or really just angry about something that I think I should have done or won't work because I want it to be a certain way. Oh, I'm so sick of this. And I realized that's my little catchphrase. And they said to me then, once I really began to realize that, Anayah, darling, do you really want to be sick? Do you want to be sick of?
Right.
Sick in anything? And it's like, well, actually, no, I don't. So now when I start to go, oh, I'm sick of it, I think, okay, I'm actually not sick of anything. I'm not sick at all. What I am is I'm feeling frustrated. So how can you help me to see a way that I can surrender this and move forward? And I might just say, go and water the garden or go and make yourself a cup of tea or going for a walk outside or whatever. It'll be something really practical.
Mm-hmm. Go ground. That's what they're having you do.
Really practical.
Yeah. 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 Something that I use a lot is to pause. When I start to get into that mode of, oh, woe is me, and things aren't going real well, I just stop. Just stop for a minute and regroup. That's the best thing that we can do in those situations.
Yeah.
We have we have a fellow Australian here, and I know her, and she says, very Aussie perspective, put in the hard yards, the hard yakka to get it done.
Hello, fellow Aussie. It's so good to know that you.
Anayah, and she is a friend of mine, and I love her so much.
Oh, I'm so glad you're with us. And it is an Aussie perspective, and it's one that's really important for us to kind of lay to rest a bit more. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
What was your friend's name again?
Tanya.
Tanya. Do you agree with that, Tanya? How do you feel about it? Because it's kind of built into us, and that's one of the things I've really worked a lot at, to let that go as much as I can, and then be okay about the parts that I'm still hanging on to. Because that's a critical inner voice, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming more of the witness and less of the self-critic for me.
Absolutely. We have such a wonderful audience. And so we have another Aussie. Angie is with us, and she says she'll be right, mate.
She will be right, mate. Hey, Angie. And that was the thing that we grew up with. She'll be right, mate. And it's like, it has actually quite a few meanings, but one of the things is it can mean for us Aussies is to ignore it. She'll be right, mate. Don't worry about it. And the thing of it is, sometimes that's a very positive thing, but sometimes it can be also a challenging thing for us because we can have deep emotions about something. We know it's just not enough to just brush it aside. Mm-hmm. It's okay to go into that place of self-nurture and remove ourselves from relationships and situations, events, to take care of ourselves and come home to the fact that it's okay to have peace. It's okay to feel the way we feel about something until we have that inner peace.
Yeah, to give ourselves that permission.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tanya says, yes, need to lay that to rest. It is built into us.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he agrees with you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And thank you all for joining us on Angel Heart Radio. I love the audience. As you said in the announcement, we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And we love the interaction. We love people that come on and talk to us and share with us your thoughts too, because I love that. If I'm watching something, I want to be able to have a voice in that also. So I think that's
Absolutely.
wonderful, Anayah. And you just took this direction not that long ago.
I know it was Archangel Michael speaking to me through Ruth Anderson, because we've been podcasting for almost 10 years continuously. It's been an amazing journey. And Archangel Michael basically said, you know what, it's time to get on camera.
Yeah.
And so the very next show, I had no clue what I was doing. It was fraught with everything, not flowing. But you know what? It's time. And that seems to be the way for me. So I just started to do that. And I tell you what, it's just been amazing. I feel this connection is even more profound when people can see us. And it was the angels said, what did you say that time? They said, everyone needs to see love reflected in the eyes of another. And there's a certain magnificence to that when we see. So like when I look at your face, for example, Teri, and you already know this because I've expressed it to you off camera, it's not for the show. When I look at you, there is this feeling of, oh, it's so beautiful in your face, in yourself, that were I just hearing you on a podcast, while it's still beautiful, this is very special. Yeah,
It is. It certainly is, to have that, just that extra touch of being able to see expressions and to get that. It's almost like eye contact that we're making with the audience as they're watching. So I do. I love this. I love lives. I do a lot of them, but I love that you listened to Archangel Michael. He knew what he was talking about.
he always knows what he's talking about.
As our angels always do. They put the guidance there. And like you said, we have that free will. We're like, nah, I'm not going to listen to you right now, angels. I hear you saying that, but
you've said it 100 times before. I'm sick of hearing that. Give me something new.
Yeah, I'll be stepping out of my comfort zone if I do what you're telling me to do.
Okay, so this is a great place to share a story if I can.
Okay.
So I have a book that's been in the works for almost 20 years. It was given to me by the angels, and I'd love to come on your show one day and talk about how it came about, because it was quite extraordinary. But anyway, it's going to the publisher. The manuscript's going to the publisher next Tuesday, everyone, the 26th, which is Tuesday in Australia, a very auspicious day for me. So anyway, I've been preparing this. Nothing in it has changed, right? It's working out the layout. It took 7 years to transcribe because I had a lot of health issues in that time. And I found, you know how you can't proofread your own work?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So
but the thing, no, you can't. It's impossible. But the thing I found was I kept changing things in it to what I would have said. So it was continually going through it with a fine tooth comb. And then the angel showed me how important that was, because it's called the Angel Code, Journey into the Words Whispered to Me. There is a code. I just get so emotional about this. Within these messages, these transmissions, there is a code that is particular to each individual. And when you read it, hear it, see it, even hold the book if you never open it, it begins to expand into your own energy. And it's like a jigsaw piece. They showed me these pieces coming together, and they click, they fit together. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. Anyway, I'm doing the draft and I've got it, and I thought, right, I'm going to save this on my desktop so I'll know where to find it, because over the years I've done lots of bits and pieces on it, right? So I put it, great, fabulous, did a full day's work. Yes, it's great. I turned my computer off, opened it up the next day, went and opened it up, and it's not there. It's just different. It's changed. I'm like, hang on a second. Oh, so furious. So I searched my computer. Do you think I couldn't find it anywhere? So I flung off my glasses and I burst into tears and I said, right, I'm sick of this again. I've had enough. I don't even think I'm going to put it in now. And I went, of course you will, stop your whinging. So So I thought, right, what's the message here? Then I remembered to ask, why are you opening this really old copy before any of the months of work that I've put in? And it suddenly hit me. I have been putting off and putting off and putting off sending the manuscript in because I knew it wasn't the right time. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. You know that feeling, Teri? You know in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I suddenly realized this is to show me this is the time. I thought, right, no matter what, I'm going to send it in. Even if I can't find the other, I'm going to just do it and go from there. And then I went away, had a cup of tea, came back, opened it all up again, and there it is, right where I'd left it. So it was not visible to me at that time because it was a really important message that, listen, you can go on for a long time. There is a particular doorway we want this to actually be submitted. And then I looked at the calendar and I began to do some calculations and realized why. And then I got my original, the diary that I actually wrote all my messages in. 2001 they started. And as you'll see, it's just full of these messages from the angels. And I thought I'd better go to the end of what I've transcribed and make sure I've got them all. And I did that. And then I got to the very last message. And then there were 2 blank pages with nothing. And then something made me turn them. There was another message I didn't realise was there. Ha! And I looked at the date and blow me down. I couldn't believe it. May 17. I looked at my calendar. Oh my God, I think it's May 17. And it was a question I'd asked them. And the question was, why do you say we or our when you are speaking about us, not you? Oh, the answer is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So that'll probably be the very first thing in the book, to explain why it seems that there's a discrepancy there. So again, everyone, you are so supported.
Yeah.
Things can look completely out of whack, but it's not. Trust, you're okay. You are just go with what you know is right in your soul, because it is right.
Yeah. And that's what Tanya is asking about, Anayah. Oh my goodness. It's like you just led into her question. She says, so how did you both develop that trust that what you heard was what you really heard?
Yeah. Me?
And that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. And it is. And for me, Tanya, it was a very powerful thing because I don't know what you're like, but for me, and it's actually still emotional, I'm still healing this. I believe that I was so broken and so wrong and so unlovable. I believed that it would actually be impossible for anyone to love me. And so I had to pretend to be something that might be a facsimile of what's lovable. So I lived a long time like that. And then it was one of those things at the end of 2000, someone literally went, oh, you might like this book, and handed me this book. And the book was all about how to receive messages, trustworthy messages from your angels. And that book is called Angel Speak, A Guide, How to Talk to Your Angels. by Barbara Mark and Trudy Griswold. And it's a little book, and it's a how-to book, right? So I thought, oh, and I had it in my hands, and I thought, oh, I can feel something about this. And I just did exactly what it said. And this is what started coming through. Now, when I started to receive these messages, the first question I asked them, in the beginning, I asked a couple of questions, and then the only question I ever asked after that was, what do you want me to know tonight? I asked them, is it okay to be a spiritual being and live a spiritual life and still just love stuff and want to have beautiful things? Right? So that was my first question, and they gave me the answer. And then I started asking them, what do you want me to know tonight? And a funny thing happened, Teri, and I would love to hear how it works for you as well. And I'm hoping this is helping you, Tanya. I'm feeling really guided to share this. In the book, it says you don't need to go into a meditation. You don't need to do anything special. This is how you do it, right? And I know automatic dictation works like that. I completely understand that. Yet for me, it was always at night. I was always in bed, and I was always lying down with my eyes half closed. So trying to decipher my writing was a trick in itself. But I'd just receive a word and then nothing for the longest time. And I'd wait and wait and wait. Oh, another word. Write that down. Eyes closed. Write that down. Waiting. Oh, another word. Write that down. But I didn't think that they had any relation to each other. They were just random words. But the thing was, Tanya, it felt so good. It felt so loving. It felt so kind and safe and nurturing that I kept doing it. I didn't even read them for probably 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I thought, I wonder what any of this stuff says. I was so blown away by I had never, and still to this day, have never read anything like it. The language is incredible. It's beautiful. And it taught me, and this is why my answer to your question is, it taught me the value of being in that space, that frequency, that vibration, that field of love, because there is nothing that can mimic that. There is nothing that can pretend to be that. And the more I experienced that, the easier it got to trust it, because it had nothing to do with my brain. My brain's always telling me I'm going to screw everything up. Excuse my language. But the feeling of that unconditional love, the feeling of that is so trustworthy that I began to trust it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Anayah. It is that knowledge that this is inside of me. This feeling is inside of me. If the angels weren't real, if their energy wasn't real flowing through me, I wouldn't feel the way it feels inside of here. And the first time that they spoke through me, through my words, I didn't even realize what was happening, but I felt it. I felt so passionate and so emotional as I was speaking the words. And it happened to be on a live that I was doing. This was years ago. I didn't think it was Facebook Live. I think it was something else. And I was speaking and people were responding and I'm going, what the heck did I just say?
Yeah.
But it was that feeling that just had to come out. And that's how it is when you surrender and let them speak through you. It has to come out. You can't hold it inside. So the trust is there because I know it's not me. I know the difference when I speak with my human brain and my human words and when they just flow energy through me. And I always have this little thing that happens when I start to channel messages from them. And it's like a little twitch at the top of my lip. And it's like when that little twitch starts, I'm like, okay, I'm out of here, guys. The angels are going to talk to you now, and this is not me.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that has to have signs. So it's like, here's your sign, Teri. We're here. Just go away for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, they know us so well, they can provide what we personally need. And, you know, people over the years have said to me, how do you know it's not a fallen angel? Well, for a start, I don't believe in fallen angels. I mean, unconditional love can't be anything else. There's no ego in it. So how can it fall? Not possible, right? For me. The thing is, now, okay, everyone, here's a little exercise for you. Try and feel unconditional love in this minute. Boom. For yourself. I mean, you can't manufacture it. Like it's a different feeling, right? Do you know what that feels like? Right? So now, just close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes. And take a breath. Unless you're driving, for heaven's sake, so operating machinery or whatever, do this later. So take a breath. Just let it go. Take another breath. And feel the beat of your heart. And every single beat is an affirmation, a proclamation of love and joy and the perfection of who you already are. And we're calling the angels. Please visit us now and touch us with even a feather of unconditional love. And feel a beautiful glow begin somewhere, anywhere. And call that glow. I call you in. I call you in if you're from unconditional love, from God, from Source, from pure love, from angelic beings. I call you in. And breathe it in. Breathe it in. And breathe it in. There. Can you feel that? You feel the gentleness that just begins to grow. Even if it's a little speck, it settles. It enfolds and embraces. Can you feel that, guys? Can you feel what that's like? You feel your mind beginning to settle and your body just beginning to feel a warmth or heaviness even in the settling. That's it there. And you can grow this. Angels, please help us to grow this every day in every way. And we ask you, and we call in our own guardian angels, and we ask you for a sign or a signal in our everyday world that we will recognize easily. It will mean something to us that this experience is real and trustworthy, and that you are real and trustworthy, and that I am perfectly capable of recognizing you and loving you and accepting your love and living with you in my everyday world. Thank you, angels. And with a kiss of kindness, we allow them to just be with us in their own way. Take a breath in. Wiggle your toes and your fingers and just know and become willing to accept that this experience will stay with you now, become a part of your everyday life that you can call on any time at all. Thank you, angels. And thank yourself for being willing to embrace the beauty not only of the angels, but of your own magnificence. Breathing in and breathing out. And then as you're ready, simply open your eyes and welcome back. And that feeling, you cannot manufacture it. You can't buy it or borrow it. You can't beg it or steal it. It's a gift. It is free for us all. And that's how I learned to trust. I learned to trust that feeling. And I learned to ask.
So beautiful. Just beautiful. And even as you did that, and I felt my spirit elevate, because that's how, when I start to give a message, that's what happens. I feel my energy just go higher. It just lifts up. And as you were guiding us and I was doing the breath, it really lifted all of my energy system upward to where I was no longer in any low density at all. You just go out of that heaviness of the 3D and you lift up, and that's where they meet you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, I call myself the faithful scribe or voice for the angels. But the thing of it is, absolutely none of that's me. It's my willingness, but it's all them. And every single person is capable. And this is such great news. Because if you feel terrible about yourself, to begin to realize, like I did, that, oh my God, I am absolutely loved. And the first time the angel said to me, remember your magnificence, I just could not believe anyone would even think there could be anything magnificent about me. And it literally brought me to my knees. I couldn't even stand up. I was gobsmacked, but I was so overwhelmed that this was a possibility. And that is the journey, I believe, that we're all on. Remembering our magnificence.
Yes. Returning home.
Returning home.
That place inside.
Yeah.
And Anayah, I remember when that moment happened for me as well. And it was, I had never heard the words, you are worthy or you are enough. And when I heard those words for the first time, something clicked. It was like that puzzle piece that finally fit together. And it's that feeling, when we go into that and we know we're home, then we can open up to unlimited possibilities.
Yeah.
Hearing angels, seeing them, receiving those beautiful messages. And it's not them that changes, it's us. It's what's inside us. It's coming home to that place.
Because they're always there anyway.
We are, always.
It's that veil we hear about, isn't it? Once the veil parts, and it's like, it's almost, I can imagine if it was like cataracts, and then suddenly they were gone, you would see. It's kind of like that for me. Nothing changed except me.
Except me. Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, when the angels bring me a message, they show me an image. I don't know if they do that with you, but they give me something that I can see. Because sometimes the words get kind of jumbled in the beginning because they do speak pretty fast. So their energy is just so high vibrational. So they slow it down a little bit and they give me this image, and then they just show me what that means, what it relates to. And as you were leading us into that place, I just couldn't help it. I spontaneously went into the angel energy, and they showed me a pinwheel. the one that's multicolored and it just goes around in circles. And I'm going, okay, I was just trying to ignore them. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. But it was a message for all of us right now that, we spin sometimes. We get caught up in the outside, what we see as the outside world. We get caught up in that spin. And the angels want us to know that that's not real, and that what's real is inside. And if we go inside, there's no spinning in there, in our true heart, where our love, our unconditional love is. That stays calm, that stays peaceful, that stays in the knowingness that we are a spark of the divine, that we are connected in with God's love and light. And when we start to see that spin, and that's the message they want us all to listen to, when you feel like things are spinning, like the world's chaotic, things are not so great out there, remember there is no out there. And as humans, we see that because that's been created in this environment for us to have this experience and to learn from. But just remember that everything that's real is inside. And there's no pinwheel in there. There's no spinning. There's no turbulence at all. It's all just peace and calm inside of our hearts.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful message, because it's so easy to believe in everything that we see and hear and touch when we have those types of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I found with this book, there are messages in this book that make no sense whatsoever to me. I cannot fathom, and in the original, that I'd cut them all out, right? And they were quite patient, and they said, that's okay. And I just got this feeling that it wasn't the right thing to do. And I said, should I be doing this? And they said, we've given you all the messages.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, but people think I'm an idiot when they read this. They really will think I'm an idiot. And they said, does it matter? And I said, well, yes, it does. And they said, well, it's okay for that to matter. And they said, they don't make sense to you, but they will make sense to someone. So the gentleness that they come in, they never say, oh, you must do this, you must do that. If you don't do it, something bad's going to happen or whatever. And I began to realize that this is a great opportunity for me to let go of that fear about what people think about me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, then I began to realize the book's also an oracle. You can just open it anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's again, comes back to the trust. It's trusting what you receive, trusting the feeling of the rightness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because while my brain had all these reasons why it would be silly to put those messages in there and, blah, 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 that's the fear-driven opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to stay stuck.
Yeah.
So choosing to be okay with what other people might think was a big deal for me. A big deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I remember Doreen Virtue saying back in the day when she worked with angels that the bigger your life purpose, the louder your ego. And that's not to say that my life purpose is any bigger than anybody else's, but it's how much I'm willing to step into it, is my interpretation.
Yeah.
So when my ego is screaming at me, I know it's because it's something really important that my soul knows to do. And my mind is trying to, I don't think it's trying to prevent me, but I think it's what it's trying to do is its job, giving me the opportunity to make the choice freely.
Yes.
And consciously.
And what great insight.
It's fabulous. It's wonderful. It's very freeing.
Yeah. 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 And that's how it is when we live our purpose.
Yeah.
When we live our purpose, they show us, just keep doing what you're doing, Teri. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And they give us all the information. When they asked me to build Angel Light 777, I was horrified. Because I actually said to them, because I talk out loud to them, have you lost your angelic minds? Nothing. And I said, you do know I can only read email, right? And again, they asked me the question, do you trust us? Yes, I do. And then all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I saw a little biplane flying along this great big sky, right? And a sign, it was dragging a sign that said, Google. So I Googled, what do I need to know to build a website? Oh, you need to have a URL. What's a domain name? How do I get one? And I Googled all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did build Angel Light 777. I think that was 2007. And the purpose of that, the whole purpose of it, and still is today, is to share the angel's love with people. It started off mainly just their messages, which are still there and still go up, but it's expanded so much. There's a lot more there now.
All your shows are there. All the angel heart shows. All the angel heart shows are there.
Yep, Angel Heart Radio's there. The Archangels. Oh my gosh! If you haven't, the Archangel series, that's a whole nother conversation. That was incredible. Talk about a leap of faith, because they said we don't want you to just recycle things that you find on Google. We want you to channel. Mm-hmm. We want you to invite us. We want to be your co-hosts, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Ascended Master series, same things. I didn't even know who half of them were when they stepped in. I don't know who you are. It doesn't matter. We know who you are. If you trust us, we'll help you. So there's a lot there. And Teri, you know what it's like when you create a website for people, you do it in a way that comes from a deep desire to share the angel's love.
Yes.
It's an amazing opportunity, but at the same time, it's a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance, and I feel a lot more in balance with it now. Mm-hmm. Whereas before I felt like I had to do this and I had to do that. And I was telling you earlier that the minute I start actively working with the angels, bing, 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 people just turn up on the website. If I'm working with the angels, they turn up on the archangels' pages.
Right.
So again, it's that constant affirmation, isn't it? They give us that, hey, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're constantly showing us. Yeah, and we miss the signs sometimes because we're looking the other direction. And we're not feeling that little nudge. You know, that little nudge sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people get a pinch. One of my friends gets a pinch on the arm when Michael's around. He always does that to her. So I just love it when they get our attention and we finally see it. We're like, oh, finally, I see the message.
Yes. Oh, thanks for sticking with me. It took me quite a while, but you hung in there with me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're funny too. Oh my God, I love how funny the angels are. And sometimes they'll show me something or they'll say a word and I'm like, I can't say that. I can't tell this person that I am seeing a dollhouse. They'll think I'm just like a wacko.
Did you ever forget where you are and start talking to the angels out loud?
Oh yeah.
It's hilarious. In the supermarket, I'd pick something up and I'd be going, what do you think about this, angels? What do you think about this? People going, beg your pardon? What's okay? I'm talking to the angels. And it's become such a natural part of my world now. When the messages started coming in, it was January 2001. So it's been almost 20 years in the making. Mm-hmm. But you kind of get well, I've gotten to that point anyway, where it's so natural I don't really even notice that I'm doing it. Right. I might even just get to the fridge and go, what should we have for lunch?
Yeah.
Because they're directing me all the time. Exactly. You know, I'll go to the when I was going to the supermarket, I could pick up an item off the shelf, and if it wasn't good for me, my nose would start to itch. Because I said to them, I need you to show me what I need to be eating, what is better if I don't eat it. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. So they showed me how our bodies, we are scanning frequencies all the time. We're vibrational scanners.
Yeah.
So the more we tune into that, the more information we actually have on tap. It's right there for us, isn't it?
Always. It's always there. It's like those radio waves that are constantly there. You just have to tune into the right dial, the right channel to get into it.
Yeah.
They're always talking, always with us. And the thing that most people ask me are, well, how do you see them? Their energy. Their energy. How do we see any energy? We're energy. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, you can see it when you allow yourself to see it. And it's not with the physical eyes. It's your spiritual eyes, that third eye that's going to tune into that energy. That's where the control knob is. It's like right in here somewhere.
And it might be a feeling. For me, I call it the voiceless voice.
Yeah.
I hear this voice. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. It's different things for different people, isn't it? Some people it's a sensation. They might say, I actually have seen actual angels.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. I'll tell you about another time. Hundreds of thousands of angels with my physical eyes.
Right.
It was kind of amazing. It was really amazing. But it might be a sense of smell, a taste. There's all sorts of spiritual senses that we have. And the more that we learn to develop them, the more we come into alignment with what that really means for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the ways that we can use that to better our lives and to better our awareness, therefore adding to the pool of love and universal support that we're here to grow.
Yes, we absolutely are. Anayah, we've had the most amazing audience tonight and lots of statements, and there's not really a lot of questions, but a lot of agreement and really enjoying what was presented here, and especially your meditation. Can I just name off some of the people that participated, especially in that meditation, because that really touched many, many that are here. Tanya is here, and Angie, and thank you for being here. We have Wendy, we have Gerald Ann, Ruth Bradford, Carol Allen, Luann. And Luann said, they call me child of God when they speak to me. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. Sometimes they use, for me, when I channel, they use dear one.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes.
It just melts my heart. I'm like, oh, I'm loved.
I know. And you know what they call me sometimes? They call me cherub.
Oh, wow.
I know.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Tanya loved that. The soundless voice. It's kind of like listening to silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you hear so much. Yeah, you hear so much when you do that. Wow, this has been such an amazing show.
It has.
Yeah,
and you guys have all given so much to it. The energy that you've all brought to this time together, it's just wonderful. I want to thank each and every one of you. Yes. I really want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this and giving us the opportunity to do what we love so much.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love my path. I love my purpose. I love my life. And that's something that's new, because I couldn't say that before I found that worthiness inside, before I found that I am a spark of the divine, as we all are. But there was that piece missing, and that was the worthiness piece. So to anyone who has not found that, I want you to hear those words, because these are the angels speaking. And they're saying, you are worthy. You are enough. And you are loved. You are so loved. So if you were like me and you had never heard those words ever before, or maybe you heard them, but you didn't really hear them, maybe you didn't believe it inside enough, just breathe that in. Breathe in that you are worthy, and you do deserve to have the best that life can offer. You deserve good things. You deserve laughter. You deserve joy in your life. So hear those words and really breathe it in and take that moment to really process it. That's what I had to do, because when I first heard those words being spoken, I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Because it was so foreign, Anayah.
Yeah.
So foreign to
Yeah.
me.
And it was almost like, I don't know about you, but like don't expect too much. Because if you don't expect too much, it won't hurt as much when you don't get it or when it's taken away.
Right.
This is a whole different thing.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, the more you, and honestly, the biggest things, ask. The angel said to me in one of the messages, ask, ask, ask. And then when you're done asking, ask for more.
Mhm.
It was such a foreign concept to me. Don't ask for too much. Well, hang on a second. It's actually the opposite.
Mhm. Yeah, because that came from an old tape. That tape of saying, you're not supposed to ask. You're not supposed to have more than what you've got, right?
Yeah. And we're here to learn that is an illusion. That old tape is the illusion. And the louder it plays, it's because your soul, see, the thing is, and I don't know whether we realize this, any of us, the strength of our soul, the capability that we have to be the magnificence we truly are, it's kind of gobsmacking,
Mhm.
that the louder the voices shout, don't ask for too much, you don't deserve, yeah, but you did this, you said that,
Mhm.
you should be ashamed. Because I had so much shame in my life. The more I ask, and here's a prayer that I'll leave you with, and I heard it on an audio book from Christiane Northrup, Goddesses Never Age. Brilliant book, can't recommend it enough. And I don't remember who she actually heard the prayer from, but it's called the Change Me Prayer. And when she said the Change Me Prayer, I thought, hang on a sec. And then the prayer is, okay, so here's a prayer that I'm going to put out to the universe. Divine Beloved, please change me into someone who is ready to embrace her full magnificence.
Yeah, I think I would need to write that down and keep that in
And
front of me.
you can ask for anything. Divine Beloved, please change me into someone who has confidence in, who believes in her worthiness, who knows she deserves love, who please, Divine Beloved, please change me into someone who follows her guidance when buying a new car, house, outfit, groceries. Doesn't matter. It's such a great prayer. Works for everything.
The Change Me prayer, I am definitely going to find that. And because I love her, I just really admire and listen to her a lot, because I do love her messages.
Yeah. And she's a powerful, strong woman, and she's not afraid to stand in her own strength, which I think is something to be so grateful for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anayah, I am so grateful for you. And I have thoroughly enjoyed this tonight with you. And I know we have to do this more often.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same thing to you.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. So for people to look you up, how do they find you on Facebook or social media? And again, give us the name of your website.
Easy peasy, everyone. Angelic 777. I always go back to front. Angelic777.com. Well, you can find me everywhere. I'm on. If you Google Anayah Joy Holilly, you'll probably be gobsmacked at how many places you'll find me in. That's how the angels have set it up. Angelheartradio.com. We have a fantastic, fully searchable podcast platform at angelheartlisten.com. I'm on Facebook for Angel Heart Radio. See, the list goes on, doesn't it? And on Facebook, if you're looking for Angel Light 777, you'll find me there as Angels Guidance. Facebook.com/Angels Guidance. So there you go. We'll connect.
Thank you so much, darling. I love you. I love you. And to all the listeners tonight, this has been beautiful. If you want to leave a message in the comments, I know Anayah and I both will be looking at those after the show. And then when this broadcast on Angel Heart Radio, which will be the next day for us here in America, then please leave us a message there on Angel Heart Radio. And thank you for being with us tonight. Much love from the angels. You are so loved. Always remember that. Those two things. You are so loved and you are worthy. Let that sink into your heart. Good night, everybody. Thank you again. And thank you, Anayah.
Thank you, Teri. Thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone. And can't wait for more.